Your producer said it's a one-on-one between you and me.
Yes.
You're escaping the debate.
Hang on. She says to us, have you watched that footage? It is actually not what you have said it is.
That footage is from Qasem Soleimani's funeral in 2020. That is not footage from today. That is 100% propaganda. The Islamic regime, they are liars. They are murderers. They are thieves. I don't even know how he has access to the internet right now. The internet is shut off.
Ladies and gentlemen, I have some very awful news if it is indeed correct, because all of this is estimates and we don't really know. But recent reports coming out of Iran indicate that there may be as many as 36,000 casualties from the regime in its suppression of the uprising of the Iranian people. 36,000 innocent people, unarmed people, gunned down. Now, this is an estimate, but the numbers are high, okay? Even the regime itself, with its lies, admitted that they killed thousands. But it could be as high as 36,000 or maybe even more. And this is awful. And that's why it's really important here to see the propaganda and the nonsense of the people who support the regime or are trying to deflect this to be about Israel, like Cenk Uyghur over here and this Iranian shill. Watch how they're taken on Piers Morgan's show.
So, Piers, in this case, the most important thing to recognize is that there are two separate issues going on here. One is the Iranian people's battle with the regime. And there we support the Iranian people 100%. I would love for Iran to be a democracy, control its own country, and be a beacon for freedom in the Middle East. Well, that would be amazing. I would hope that everybody would want that. But there's a second issue also going on at the same time, which is that Israel wants regime change in Iran. They've wanted it for 20 years. Everything he just said to you was propaganda for Israel. They've wanted this regime change forever. And now here's how you could tell that
Well, that
I'm
doesn't
right.
mean it's wrong.
They will not.
Cenk, it doesn't mean it's wrong.
Yeah.
I mean, it might well suit. It might well
that's
suit.
right.
Well, hang on. It might well suit Israel's interests, but that doesn't mean it doesn't also suit America's interests or indeed the rest of the world's interests.
Right. So, Piers, then we get to the issue of, yes, but what is America doing and what should America do? So if you want to accomplish the thing that we all want, which is Iran to be free, the worst possible thing you could do is bomb them. Because if you bomb them, like all countries, they will rally around the flag. If you think there is no one who supports the regime in Iran, you're also wrong about that. I think they're a minority, but they're the minority with the guns, etc. And so at this point, the idea that, oh, don't worry, we'll just bomb the Iranians, we'll kill a whole bunch of their civilians, and then we'll be greeted as liberators. You know, Mike Huckabee talked about 2 kicks of the mule, but except he got the wrong mule. So we got kicked in Iraq in the same exact way. Neocons like Mike Huckabee coming out there and going, oh, this is going to be easy. We're going to liberate the Iraqis, and the Iraqis are going to love us for it, etc. I don't need to get kicked by that mule twice. I guarantee you this will end in disaster if Israel forces us to get involved. If you care about the Iranian people, we should not bomb them. It will be greatly counterproductive. And I guarantee you that both Israel and America does not want democracy in Iran. What they want instead is a puppet leader. So they will bring in the former Shah, a king, a dictator, who will do everything that Israel wants.
Goldie Gamara, you were pulling a number of faces there, none of which I would describe as particularly indicating an agreement with what Cenk was saying. So what would you like to say?
I mean, first of all, Cenk is not Iranian, so he has no idea what's going on in occupied Iran. Pretty sure Cenk doesn't speak Persian either, so he probably has no idea what the tens of millions... no, actually, it's Persian. Persian is the English word for Farsi. So don't correct me when I'm speaking and don't interrupt me. I let you speak your garbage jihadi Islamist propaganda.
You should know your native language,
You
though,
do not. You do not get
expert.
to talk over me. You do not get to talk over me or interrupt me when I'm speaking on behalf of 90 million Iranians who are out in the streets right now fighting for their lives.
You're not speaking on behalf of all Iranians.
You speak. Yes, I am. You speak about how you know, the bombings or whatever.
When did they elect you?
Why are you speaking over me? Why are you speaking over me? Are you threatened by what I'm about to say? Is that why you want to interrupt me? I suggest you keep your mouth shut.
No, because you're pretending to represent people that never elected you.
Well, let her speak. Cenk, with all respect, she'll let you speak. Let her respond.
Yeah, I let you speak your garbage propaganda, so now it's my turn to speak the truth. So do not interrupt me again. So like I was saying, Pierce, Iranians right now are literally risking their lives out there, and they are saying this is the final battle. Pahlavi will return. Pahlavi is, of course, the current Shah of Iran in exile. And what people don't know is that back in 1979, that it's not actually a revolution. It was an Islamic coup d'etat. It was orchestrated by Jimmy Carter, or sorry, actually, no, it was orchestrated by the Islamists and the communists, and it was funded and supported by Jimmy Carter, the UK, and France. So what is happening right now? This is Iranians trying to rectify, and they are rectifying 47-year mistake that was made. And what Iranians are saying is that we are going out and we are not going to stop fighting until we not only overthrow the Islamic dictatorship, but we return our king, because there is only one person that we Iranians trust to transition us from a dictatorship to a democracy, and that is His Royal Highness. And one final point, Iran was not an authoritarian dictatorship prior to 1979. We were a constitutional monarchy, just like England. That is what we are fighting for. So anyone who says that Iran was an authoritarian dictatorship, they know nothing about the country, because we used to be a constitutional monarchy.
I want to just turn now to someone who's been on Uncensored a few times, Mohammad Morandi, professor at Tehran University, a supporter of the regime. Welcome back to Uncensored, Mohammad Morandi. I appreciate you coming on. What is your assessment of what is happening on the ground in Iran?
Well, first of all, when you say a supporter of the regime, you're framing it in a certain way. I assume you are a supporter of the British or the American regime. But it's obvious what happened. Then the next day, we had more protests, roughly the same size, I guess. I don't remember exactly. Then we had infiltration, and we had violent rioters. And that was the beginning of extreme violence, which peaked on Thursday night. And we know that Pompeo, the former head of the CIA, said that Mossad is on the ground with the rioters. We have Mossad in a Persian statement. They said that they are on the ground. We had many buses, ambulances, and fire engines destroyed. Tens of each. I'm not sure about ambulances, but I know tens of fire engines and public buses and private property. But the point is that late on Thursday night or early in the morning, they cut off the internet, and suddenly everything died down. The reason? Because all these groups, these small groups, violent groups that were spread out in different cities and different parts of big cities, they could no longer communicate with their bosses abroad. So if it was really spontaneous, the riots would have continued. But now we've had 4 days of quiet. And yesterday, we had massive anti-riot protests across the country. And I asked your producer to show footage of the protests in Tehran against the rioters. And this is from the middle of the footage. This is Engelab Square. It goes from Imam Hussein Square to Azadi Square, from Engelab Square south to Imam Khomeini Square. That is millions of people. That is huge. Anyone can look on the map or use DeepSeek or some other AI app and check what sort of distance this is. This is a helicopter. But
right,
just a few hours ago.
Let's stop you there, Professor O'May. Just to be clear, that's footage you've supplied. We've been unable to independently verify it, so it is what it is.
Kind of looks like footage from the 1970s, but okay. Anyway, this guy's a shill for the regime. Look at that smug smile. Watch soon how the Iranian activist wipes that smug smile from his face.
Clearly, there are people, it seems from all the independent reports I've read, who are... Okay, so Goldie, for example, one of our panelists is saying that footage is from 2020. So we don't know what you're showing us there. You accept that?
No, that's a dishonest take. That footage is very clear. This misinformation is being produced by the West, and the reporter who was on that helicopter, whose face is there. He came on television, showed the footage. I was at the protest. There were millions of people. What you are trying to do, just like you did during the Israeli regime's attack on Iran, is you are trying to help war. Because when the Israeli regime carried out that blitzkrieg attack, as we were negotiating with them, you invited me and started bad-mouthing Iran. Why? Because you and many others like you.
No, I didn't badmouth Iran. Sorry, just to be clear.
Oh, yes, you did.
Just to be clear. Hang on. Professor, just to be clear, I never badmouthed Iran. I badmouthed the Iranian regime, which I think is one of the most malevolent regimes in the world. That's not bad-mouthing the country of Iran or the Iranian people. Now, I want to bring in Goldie Gamari because she wants to directly challenge.
No, you said
she wants to directly challenge what you have said.
One-on-one.
Yes,
you said
that's
it's
fine.
a one-on-one.
That's fine.
Your producer.
But you've accused her.
You do not allow me to continue.
Fine, but you have.
Your producer said. Producer said
yes.
it's a one-on-one between you and me.
Yes.
You're escaping the debate.
Hang on, Goldie. Hang on, Goldie. Hang on, please. Don't all talk at once. Professor Morandi. Professor Morandi.
You and me.
Professor Morandi, let me, Goldie, please let me handle this. Professor Morandi, here's why I brought Goldie back into the conversation with you.
No, so you're being dishonest.
Because she says to us, have you watched that footage? It is actually not what you have said it is. Goldie, tell the professor what you believe that footage is.
That footage is from Qasem Soleimani's funeral in 2020. That is not footage from today. That is 100% propaganda. The Islamic regime, they are liars. They are murderers. They are thieves. I don't even know how he has access to the internet right now. The internet is shut off. The internet is shut off. Where is he communicating from?
This is how it works in the West.
Well, the best way, surely. All right, Professor, the best way, Professor, Professor, the best way to
talk about.
Professor,
just one moment.
The best way to clear this up is to allow journalists to do their job freely in Iran, turn the internet back on, let everybody work out for themselves what is really happening. But when a regime shuts off the internet, what it's really doing is not trying to stop communication between protesters, it's trying to stop the truth about what it is doing in response being communicated to the world. And what it's doing is murdering thousands of Iranians who are protesting. They've admitted killing 2,000. Reports are that maybe as many as 12,000 or more.
Out of date. Now the reports are talking about 36,000.
We're seeing footage here of body bags everywhere. And that is why the regime is turning off the internet. It's not out of some great altruistic, well, we just, don't want these people communicating. It's so that we can kill them and the rest of the world can't see what we're doing.
No, Pierce, that is an utterly dishonest take. The numbers are fabricated. The government has not given any numbers. And as I said,
2,000.
I'm talking, Pierce. You don't want me to talk.
Well, you said you're just wrong, Professor. All due respect. All due respect. I'm not sure that you and facts are easy bedfellows. But I appreciate
That's
you.
That's your problem, Pierce.
Not really.
You're the one who
actually it may be a problem for you.
You're the one who denied the genocide in Gaza for a year and a half, and you tried to justify the actions of the Israeli regime for a year and a half. And let me be very clear that if the United States, if Trump carries out an attack on Iran, the Iranian retaliation will be massive. And people like you,
it was after the strike last summer.
Ooh, we're so scared of the Iranian retaliation. Paper tiger. Paper tiger. Last time we saw what your retaliation was. You're useless. You're pathetic. Your military is worth nothing. You're on your knees. You're ready to crumble.
And people like you.
You said this last time.
Like you
said this last time.
People like you will bear responsibility.
But this is the trouble. You're full of crap, aren't you? Because you said this last time. Do you remember? It was all going to happen last time.
Last time, Steve Bannon, the day after the war ended, on his show, said that the reality was that during the last 3-4 days of the war, the Israeli regime was in serious trouble, and they were begging for a ceasefire.
But what happened to the retaliation that you said would happen?
And Trump, because the Israeli regime was begging
what
for a ceasefire.
What happened to your retaliation?
Did you see Tel Aviv? Did you see how we hammered Tel Aviv?
Please. It's
Oh,
embarrassing.
sure.
It's embarrassing.
Okay.
You
Okay,
come on
Pierce.
here all the time and you say it's going to be
you
the
have
retaliation is going to be
you
horrific. It's going to be this. It's going to be that, and it doesn't happen. Iran
you
doesn't have
can
the
pretend.
capability to respond in the way that you talk. It's all bluff. It's all bluster. And what it seems to me,
Okay,
Professor,
Pierce,
now is the
you
people of
lied.
Iran have had enough of this bullshit and they're rising up. And as the German Chancellor says, I believe this is the beginning of the end of that regime, and puppets like you that have helped prop it up are going to look very stupid when that day comes. But I appreciate you joining me.
History
Thank
will
you very much
remember
indeed for joining
your
me.
lies, Pierce.
I'll go back to the panel.
Pierce,
no, thank
history
you.
will remember your lies.
Yeah, okay. I'm sure they'll remember someone's lies, and it won't be me.
Well, I think they'll remember your lies as well, Pierce, because you lied quite a bit. But you have nothing on this psychopath. I love the way he just laughed in his face when he's talking as if Iran has this capability to harm and hurt everyone. Yeah, they fired a bunch of missiles on civilians here in Israel. They caused damage, but we smashed their military installations so badly. We literally bombed the regime's, communications headquarters. Like on live TV, it's bombed and the woman's going, screaming. Come on, come on. He was laughing in his face. Finally, Pierce got something right. Good on him. But this guy's such a liar. And like I said, the report that came out, all right, Time Magazine got information from two senior officials in the Iranian regime health ministry who said that on 2 days alone, which was the 8th and 9th of January at the peak of the protests, the Iranian regime shot 30,000 people, okay? 30,000. That's what the Time Magazine people said. Then you have Iran International, which is a channel that's staffed by Iranian exiles, like all these people who fled the horrific regime in Iran and are outside the country so they can speak freely and they have context inside. They got their hands on documents and they corroborated that 30,000 figure in those 2 days and saying that the total figure of all the protests altogether is 36,000 dead. Over 36. They said 36,500 dead. All right? Now, the number might not be accurate because it's hard to know. It could be less. But all the human rights organizations, and we know how trustworthy they are, they're also reporting numbers, thousands and thousands of dead. Okay, so when all this is said and done, maybe we'll know how many innocent, brave Iranians were massacred by this evil regime, but it's a lot. And they're evil, and they're bad. And they are a regime. He said at the beginning, ooh, you're a supporter of the Israeli and the American and British regime. No, these are democracies where you can change the regime via elections. In Iran, you can't do that. That's why these people are sacrificing their lives to try to bring it down and regain their freedom, bring back the Shah, as the woman said, so they can properly live as free Iranians, not as jihadist Islamists under this supreme leader who squanders all their resources so they can launch wars on Israel, whom they blame now for the uprising of the people who you've mishandled and misgoverned for so many decades.